Monday, April 19th, 2021. It is the Monty Show. A pleasure to be with you, back and better than ever from Las Vegas. How much did you gamble and how much did you lose?
I didn't gamble anything.
That'd be nothing and nothing. Jake refused to place a bet on the San Antonio Spurs. Yeah.
It's all right.
Those of us who were brave enough to bet the Spurs lost. I had my daily double was the Spurs to beat the Suns. They did. And for it to go over. It missed by 4 points. Sons of biatches. Anyway, hey, welcome to the show. Make sure you hit subscribe on the good old YouTube machine there. And really appreciate you guys. We are on a meteoric rise. Jake has still not contributed his half of the Xbox that we're going to give away when we get, well, I guess I should say, Jake has not contributed his half to the Xbox I am going to give away when we get to 500.
You're going to give away. Right.
Well, because you're not paying for it. This is a big controversy. This is more than Colton Underwood on The Bachelor, who we're going to talk about in a few minutes. This is way more controversial than that. Are you going to contribute?
Yeah, dude, we're doing the giveaway. Like, yes, I'm going to contribute. Yes.
Yeah, here's $5.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers as quickly as possible, obviously. And we are going to do a giveaway. Everybody who subscribes to the channel will be entered to win an Xbox S Series. Fabulous piece of machinery that we are fortunate to have procured. So make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe. Give us a thumbs up on this video. And without further ado, why don't we start talking about the NBA hoopage? And as we mentioned, the San Antonio Spurs, for whatever reason, chose to rest everybody in Phoenix the other night. And they still managed to beat a fully functioning Phoneix Suns team quite handily. Thank you very much. And it made us wonder aloud, are the Jazz lucky or good? Saturday afternoon in Los Angeles, the Jazz essentially sat out their core. Donovan Mitchell's hurt with the ankle. They sat Gobert, Conley, and Derrick Favors, and they paid a price. They got beat pretty handily at the end of this game. Now it's close back and forth. At the end, the Lakers pulled away. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope got the job done. But what did the Jazz really lose here? Yeah, they lost a game, but the Suns got embarrassed against the Spurs, and now the Jazz find themselves 1.5 games up, Jake. Are the Jazz lucky or are they good?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I think that on one hand, you probably took a calculated risk sitting all those guys. You probably said to yourself that, you know, the Suns were probably going to lose that game, you know, against the Spurs, and so you felt like this was a good opportunity to sit your guys that you felt like needed a rest. Now, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like Rudy Gobert needs a lot of nights off because I don't feel like he is a explosive player who gets a lot of who takes a lot of beating on his body. You know, it's not like he's playing above the rim and, you know, his joints are getting killed every night. Like, he's not like Donovan, you know. So the Gobert thing is interesting. I think that the fact that, you know, the Conley situation, we all know who he is. We all know what to expect. We're not surprised that he was sitting out. And then Favors is just an older player who does definitely need the rest. So I don't know. I think overall, are they lucky or are they good? Yeah, they're good enough. Frankly, they're good enough to take these risks because they're in first place, they're on top of the hill, and they're looking down at everybody else. And that's a huge luxury to have. At the same time, the lucky side of this conversation is that the Suns lost that game. Because if they lose that game, we're having a completely different conversation about the fact that, hey, you rested a bunch of guys that you really shouldn't be resting all at the same time. So I would tell you they're both, but I think they've earned the right to take these kind of risks.
Yeah, I find it fascinating that on a couple of different occasions, the Jazz have gotten really lucky here. There's almost no reason that this Western Conference race isn't tied. If you look at what the Suns did in beating the Jazz, that's a huge win for them. But then they turn right around and go drop a dud in L.A. while the Jazz get a character-building win against the Blazers at home. So they get that game right back. Now you look at this situation where the Jazz rest their starters for whatever reason. And by the way, I'm a little surprised the NBA hasn't taken action against the Jazz because they find the Raptors and they find the Spurs for resting their starters, healthy guys. They rested multiple healthy players. You're not allowed to do that on the road. And the Jazz did exactly that in Los Angeles on Saturday afternoon, resting core players. Donovan doesn't count because he's clearly got an injury. Rudy Gobert could have played, Conley could have played, and Favors could have played.
Yeah.
Yet they sit them all out, and the league does nothing. The Spurs sit out DeRozan and a couple other guys. They get fined $25K for that. I'm a little surprised the NBA didn't take action there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny, like when you look around the different sports leagues and how they apply fines and the different rules, and how they enforce the different rules. The NBA is very much a case-to-case thing. Like like the rule clearly says you're not supposed to be resting multiple healthy players on the road. It's very clear. It's a very black and white rule. It's not confusing. There's no nuance in it. It's very straightforward. So the Jazz clearly violate this rule, and they don't get fined for it. So, I don't know what the NBA looks at or how they kind of go about it. There's been so many instances where, I can think back to when LeBron was a Miami Heat and they had that team together and they sat LeBron, D Wade, and Chris Bosh against a Spurs team that was going to contend with them to get to the NBA Finals. So, I don't know, man. I again, the lucky portion, yeah, you're lucky to have not been fined, 100%. Does an NBA organization give a damn about a $50,000 fine? Probably not. Honestly, probably not.
No, I would guess not, but my point is, I think there's a couple of things working here. I am more and more evolving into Shaq and Charles Barkley's opinion that I just don't think the Phoneix Suns are ready to win. It is inexcusable for the Suns to lose that game to the Spurs. Inexcusable. And to get blown out, it simply cannot happen. And what it tells you is all of this experience or lack thereof that we consistently hear about from the Suns is actually spot on. You can talk about Chris Paul all you want, but when your best player, who is Devin Booker, has zero playoff experience or big game experience, you're seeing that in that performance against the Spurs. And Book played well. He's been red hot lately. But this team just isn't ready to win at a high level. That's what really stands out to me about the Suns. And whether they're lucky or good or I don't know, I think the Utah Jazz are in an excellent position here. They avoid a huge injury with Donovan Mitchell. That's absolutely the best news they could have gotten is an ankle sprain because that was either knee or calf or whatever it was. That was ugly. But they avoid a major injury with Don. I think you're in LA tonight. I would guess that Favors, Conley, and Gobert are all going to play, and they should coast to a win against the Lakers, who are not going to have Anthony Davis back tonight and probably won't have him back for at least another week, it looks like. The Jazz are in a good position. I agree with trying to get your guys rest. They need to now, in my opinion, reestablish that swagger. And maybe you can't do that with Don in this ankle. I don't know. But at some point, this team's going to have to get back to hitting a ton of threes and demoralizing other teams. And it's really encouraging to see Bogdanovich, Bogey, starting to hit those threes again.
Yeah.
I just wish he would stop passing on them.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of times where he definitely passes on them. There's no question. I think we've seen him be more willing to just pull the trigger on some of the more contested shots, which is something that he wasn't doing before. And I think that Bogdanovich is definitely improving. He's definitely going the direction you want him to go. But I think the fact is that, you look at every playoff contender and they've had injuries. And so I think this is a real good test for the Jazz to see what they can do without their best player. Because what do we always talk about on this show? At the end of games, where do we go? Donovan Mitchell and everybody else. And so my question is, with Donovan Mitchell being out with this ankle, do we start to get back to ball movement? Do we start to get back to being intentional with getting the open looks for, Bogdanovich and for Jingles and for these shooters that you have on your team? Because I think that is where the opportunity is for this team to get, as you were saying, their swagger back. They need to get away from being so stagnant with the ball and just playing pick and roll with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and they need to get to moving the ball to get wide open looks. Because you notice when they get those wide open looks, they're going to knock those shots down. And I think that for them is really what's going to make the difference in the postseason. If they play that stagnant, two-man game, they're not going to make a deep playoff run. If they're moving the ball and getting the wide open looks, they will make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, and my guess is that they're going to move the ball a lot. And I am really confident in a couple of things. I think the Clippers are becoming one of the best teams in the NBA right now. I think the Utah Jazz have to get back to that because over the last several weeks, the Clippers are the best team I've seen in the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Jamal Murray injury is a huge blow to Denver. The Lakers without AD and LeBron, they're just not a very good basketball team, at least not one that's going to compete at the top of the Western Conference, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And, for me, I think that there are a lot of issues with the way that the Jazz are playing basketball right now. Mm-hmm. And I think when I look at the Laker game the other day, I mean, Jordan Clarkson, I don't know where I am with Jordan Clarkson.
Uh-huh.
Like, I want to believe in Jordan. I think he's a great sixth man. But I think there is an exposure that happens when he gets into 25, 30 minutes game. That's not who that guy is. I don't know where the tipping point is, but he's another one of those guys who you want to see get back to being his best, what we saw in January and February.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him start coming into games and giving them, 20, 25 a night. I mean, that's when he was at his best. That's what he was doing. I mean, he's put up 40 for this team before. I mean, that's happened, which tells me that on a consistent basis, he's more than capable of giving you 25 off the bench. I mean, that's not outlandish. That's not a stretch. He is that good as a scorer. And I think that again, I'm just looking forward to, because we're at a point in the season now where we're looking at the postseason now. We don't really give a damn about the rest of these games. Like, yes, they're going to win them. Yes, like it's basically a foregone conclusion. At this point that they're pretty much going to be the one seed. The only way that doesn't happen is if they really drop the ball and just play awful basketball to finish the season. But assuming that they're the one seed, I look at a postseason matchup and I say to myself, in the postseason, you're playing half-court basketball. You're not going to get this run and gun transition three-ball stuff that you live on.
That's
and so
right.
With Jordan Clarkson, my question is just going to be, if he's not going to get the transition three, I know I keep saying this, they're going to have to move the ball a lot in the postseason to get good looks for these guys. And I'm just curious, like, what that adjustment looks like, because it's not easy going from transition to we're going to play a dominant half-court brand of basketball and move it all over the place. I mean, that's two completely different styles. So I'm really curious how that works out.
Well, and I think one of the other storylines for the Jazz certainly is Ersan Ilyasova and the contribution he made Saturday as a starting five. I think it warrants more minutes. Obviously, going 6 of 8 from 3, scoring 20 points before he fouled out late in the game. I mean, Ersan can shoot the 3. And I think what he showed you is he deserves more rotational minutes at the 4 and the 5 than he's been getting. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the real wins for the Utah Jazz out of that situation against the Lakers. I also think it was interesting that Royce O'Neal played a much larger role because I just don't think that can happen on the regular.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he shot 2 of 10 from 3. I'm curious how they try to work him back in, because I actually think Royce O'Neal needs to hit threes for them to win. He is the guy that a lot of teams will leave open in the corner, and he hasn't been knocking that down, and I think it's hurt them. But again, I look at the way they played, and they largely went with the 5 guys that they started.
Yep.
And, I mean, you saw, obviously, hey, the minivan. Is that not the stupidest nickname you have ever heard for somebody? Obviously, Niang played 22 minutes. I thought Morgan actually played pretty well.
Yeah.
For not being a guy that's used to playing those kind of minutes. But this team is who they are. They're clearly not out trying to find additions. Mm-hmm. They're clearly not out at this moment trying to bolster this roster. Mm-hmm. This is who their guys are.
Yeah, I thought your best point there was the Ersan thing. I think that Ersan showing you that he can make those shots playing the 5, That's going to be huge for them. You know,
Yes.
and I want to be really clear. Ersan Ilyasova is not in any way, shape, or form pushing Rudy Gobert because he made all those shots. The person he's pushing is Derrick Favors, because the thing that nobody's talking about with Ilyasova's contribution is that he actually played really solid defense against Andre Drummond when he was on him. You know, yes, there were a couple fouls, but overall he made Drummond's life difficult. And I think the biggest difference between Favors and Ilyasova is that they both have the quickness to stay with Drummond, but the difference is in that game, Drummond had to respect Ersan's three, which opened up the paint. And I think that if Ersan can continue, he's not going to go 5 of 5 or 6 from 6 every night. Nobody does.
Right.
But I think that if you know, again, you know, projecting forward to a postseason series, when you want to try and make like 23, 24, 25 threes in a game, Ersan's 2, 3, and 4 threes a game are going to make a difference. That's 10, 12 extra points that you can get out of a bench player. That's huge.
Yeah, and I think that they'll have to figure that out, and this is the main question for the Suns. It's the main question certainly for the Lakers and the Clippers. Like, who's that number one off the bench? And the answer is I don't know at this point. And I look at some of the teams that, you know, you look at what's DeMarcus Cousins got left in the tank at this point.
Yeah, not a lot.
You know, like you look at what's out there to add. It's Austin Rivers. Maybe there isn't that guy, but this is why. And I don't mean to keep going backward, but this is why I thought they needed to make a pretty significant addition at the deadline, because you look at teams like Phoenix, and as lacking in experience as Phoenix is right now, I still think the Suns provide a significant challenge to the Jazz in a 7-game series. And I can't say with all assurity right now that the Utah Jazz win that series.
Yeah, well, I think the thing with the Suns is that they're really well coached. So Monty Williams has come in, and yes, as much as they're a young team who's still learning how to win, they're a very well coached team. So like, they're not making the dumb plays. When they're bad, they just don't show up. They don't execute on offense. They don't do the little things within their offense to score a bunch of points.
Yeah.
That's when they're bad. But the good news is that they've gotten away from just the careless turnover, the dumb foul, not being where you should be on defense. Like, they've gotten away from those silly mistakes. And I think that what we learned out of that Jazz Phoenix game is that the Suns are a very disciplined team, especially when they play big games. And I think that part of the issue in that Spurs game was that they said, well, it's the Spurs. I mean, we're gonna light them up. And that you can never do that.
Yeah, James says, thanks you guys for keeping me entertained on my drive to work. I've turned off the radio and turned on YouTube. Well, we appreciate that.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
James says, we are definitely, we to the Jazz.
I like it.
James says, we are definitely good. The lucky thing is a bit insulting in my opinion. I don't mean it to be insulting. I think it just keeps it real. I mean, if you look at, there's no excuse for the Suns to have lost that game to the Spurs. No, like, there is none.
None.
When you lost in Phoenix and then the Suns got to go on the road to play the Clippers, you go home to play the Blazers, and you get a quality win over the Blazers. Okay, that's good. You are good, period. You get torched by the Lakers, and then inexplicably the Suns get blown out by the Spurs, who aren't playing any of their best players, and the Suns are playing everybody. Like, there's no way to explain that other than, my God, the Jazz got lucky right there.
Yeah, because and that's what I'm saying. I think I know for a fact we're having a very different conversation if the Suns, would have taken care of their business. And so the only reason, I think the only reason the lucky thing comes in is not to say that, again, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Jazz are lucky to be in the position that they're in. I mean, they've played a lot of tough games. The NBA season is really long. It's a marathon. Everybody knows that. And like I said earlier, they've earned the right to get lucky in some of these situations because they've worked their ass off to get into the number 1 seed. But I'm not going to step away from the idea that, yes, they are, if you want to use the word lucky, fortunate, that the Suns lost that game. And that is a huge deal that they lost that game. We're having a different conversation if they would have taken care of business.
Mr. Mitch says, I guess since Barry blocked you, I'll step in and be the negative. By the way, a lot of people saw that meltdown from Barry on Twitter the other day. I don't know what what was that about? Was that the gun violence thing the other day?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know. Barry's quite volatile.
He'll be back.
Barry lost his mind the other day and blocked me on Twitter. Like, he hasn't commented since like Wednesday or Thursday.
He'll be back.
Listen, hey, I appreciate everybody who watches and follows the show. We're going to talk about I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Barry gets upset about so many things that I can't
Barry's
remember.
a New Yorker, man. It's all good. It's
Who
cool.
now lives in Florida. And hey, more power to him. He's got that incredible hot girlfriend. I think they live in Orlando or Tampa. Hey, knock yourself out, Barry. I hope you do listen. I hope you do come back. Mr. Mitch says, any comment on your Cubs? No comment whatsoever. Achille Jean-Pierre says, not a Jazz fan. I don't think the Jazz are lucky, but fortunate. Okay.
That's what I said. Lucky, fortunate, whatever
you want to call
use,
it.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just they like the lucky thing is Donovan Mitchell not breaking his ankle on that roll because he could have easily broken his ankle doing that.
How bad? That's one of those injuries that looked horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, this is not one of those where he was like cutting and rolled his ankle. I mean, he's coming down on his ankle,
full body weight,
and that's just really lucky and fortunate that he didn't break his ankle, man.
How about your boy and his ankle the other night? Mm-hmm. Steph Curry again.
Yeah.
Bro, will you put on some high tops, please?
No.
I mean,
he wears those ankle braces, but he's always had weak ankles. He's known for it. It's a thing. He's had to deal with it. Like, he just has had weak ankles.
Yeah, he always had it rough. He had weak ankles. Mm-hmm. That's why he's an accountant.
Even with.
No, he does not. Forgotten Soul says today better not be another 3:00 Mountain Time game. Yeah, what the heck, dude? Like, why are we playing in the middle of the day on a Friday?
No idea, dude.
Can somebody explain that to me? That was bizarre. Gabe Ledley says, "Morning, boys. Did I miss the Mastros story time? No, you haven't missed the Mastros story time
not yet.
Mastros was amazing.
Old reliable.
Mastros was. By the way, we got to talk about Fogo de Chao.
Nah, this is going to piss people off.
Yeah, we also went to. We'll talk about it later in the show. We also went to Fogo de Chao. We'll talk about that. Should have gone to Lowry's the prime rib. Should have done it. Where were we? Oh, Jazz. Anyway, who's the best team in the Western Conference? I feel like we talk about this daily. Right now, I would have to say it's the LA Clippers.
I mean, right here today, it's the Clippers. But I think again, like, it goes without saying that I just can't express how important it is and how awesome a position it is to be in when you're in the number one slot, because you can look down on everybody else and you can say, okay, this game is not a must-win game for us, but then this game in 3 days is definitely a must-win, and then you can cater your performance around that. And so, I think it's huge.
Tyler wants to know how slurping went this weekend, and he says another diss of the Jazz. I don't get it. How are we dissing the Jazz?
Yeah, we're not
all?
dissing. See, and I knew this was going to upset people when we brought up the lucky or good thing, because people are automatically going right to, oh, well, you guys are saying that they're lucky to be in the 1 seed. No, that's not what I'm saying.
No.
We never said that. I just spent 5 minutes talking about how they've worked their ass off. They have every right to be in the position that they're in.
Yeah.
The lucky portion specifically pertains to the Donovan Mitchell injury. That could have been a gazillion times worse. So we could be talking about the Jazz going into the postseason with Donovan Mitchell being out the rest of the year. We were millimeters away from that happening, like, just to be clear. So that I do say is luck, because that could have been a lot worse, and the Jazz have no control over that. So that's luck. I then look at the Suns losing that game, and I say, hey, that's a team that beat you. That they showed you their quality. You had your best, they had their best, and they beat you.
How do you explain the Suns right now? Like, I just DeAndre Ayton, and I know that you people are tired of hearing me say this, and my guy Mike in Phoenix, I apologize ahead of time, because Mike is a huge players program. Oh man, I don't think I told you about this.
Huh.
Mike wore me out on Twitter last week about my tweeting with Sean Miller's son. So Sean Miller, the former head coach at Arizona, gets fired, and his son came out like in defense and talked about how, Sean Miller was the most, a successful and decorated coach at Arizona. It's like, bro, maybe you heard of Lute Olson. Maybe, oh no, you probably haven't, because you don't care. And I tweeted back at Sean Miller's son, and I said, something to the effect of, it's never good when your dad has more FBI wiretaps than national championships. And a bunch of people got into me over it, but Mike was like, yeah, not cool, bro. You attacked his kid. I didn't attack his kid. I did not attack his kid. What I said is absolutely true. That Sean Miller's a fraud who literally, and it's inarguable, he got caught on more FBI wiretaps than he ever did winning national championships because he won no national championships.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that guy wrecked more shirts with his acidic sweat than he did win that. Okay, I'll stop. Look, man, some people just have overactive sweat glands.
Uh-huh.
It's nothing you got to bring up.
Yeah.
Anyway, DeAndre Ayton's soft.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go back to good old Ron Sapocek.
Here we go.
Varsity basketball coach for the Round Lake Panther Pride, who always used to say to us, if you can catch the basketball on this team, you can play. I can put you on the floor. All you have to do is catch the ball. DeAndre Ayton can't catch the ball. He cannot catch the ball in traffic. He cannot catch bad passes. He can catch lobs and dunk them, and he does that well.
Anybody can.
But if you throw him a pass in traffic, and credit to Rudy Gobert, because Rudy's gotten much better at this, DeAndre Ayton cannot catch a ball in traffic. And if you watch how many times he either does not pay attention to where the ball is, which means, hey, I'm running free down the lane, but I don't realize it, so I'm not looking for the ball. The other night, he got hit in the head with a great pass.
How is that even possible?
Because he's not looking for the ball, right? And so I think DeAndre is part of the problem there. I think Chris Paul, they are really load managing. Chris Paul, they're managing Chris's loads. That came out wrong. You want to? You want to? They are resting. They are resting Chris Paul a lot, and I think that that drop off is significant when Chris is not on the floor. Mm-hmm. They were never in that game against the Spurs.
No,
they just never showed up.
I think that we've talked about the Devin Booker superstar thing, and we've been trying to figure out for a long time what is this thing that he needs to do. Like, what is it going to take for Book to take the next step? And I think when I see games like this out of his team, because like it or hate it, that is Devin Booker's team,
yes,
not Chris Paul's team. That is Devin Booker's team. It has been, and it will be until he leaves. This is one of those games where the best of the best in the NBA do not allow their team to do what they did on that evening. And I think that to me, after I saw that, I was like, man, like a superstar would not allow that to happen. I mean, that's just not good enough out of your team. You would take that upon yourself and say, hey, even if I put up 30, we got embarrassed. That's unacceptable.
Okay, we need to ban any reference to slurping now. Maybe Will says maybe you should slurp Devin instead of KD, and he would play better.
Hey, I don't know what you guys want me to say to that.
Stop it. Stop it.
Is slurping not one of the best words in the English language?
Moist is better,
dude.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Gabe says, Fogo pro tip: pass on the salad bar. It's a trap.
That's what I'm saying, dude, bro.
And tell them to GTFO with that weak chicken and sausage garbage.
Yeah.
Filet skewers only at this table.
Yes. Thank you.
Gabe Ledley's eating at Fogo
Let's
de Chao,
go.
my man.
Come on.
Listen, real quick. So we stayed on the 56th floor of the Cosmopolitan with a Las Vegas Strip view. We had a Friday night meal at Mastro's. Jake, Mrs. Monty, and I, that was $700, and it was amazing.
Dude.
Jake and I each had 3 Dreamberries. Mrs. Monty had a perfect Southern Comfort Manhattan. And then, I don't know, she lost her mind and ordered an espresso martini. We both had strip mediums that were perfectly, like, it was everything you wanted. I was tipsy. I was not drunk. That tells you I kind of have a tolerance still, even though I don't drink almost ever. Mm-hmm. Mastro's was incredible. It was worth every penny that we paid. Every single penny. The Cosmopolitan, worth every single penny. Stay at that hotel if you have the means.
Mm-hmm.
Fogo de Chao's a hard pass. Now, the salad bar at Fogo de Chao in Las Vegas was actually pretty good. I thought the mozzarella and tomato was excellent. The potato salad, the Brazilian potato salad,
That was the best thing on the bar by far.
was excellent.
Yeah.
Some of the other things, the rice and beans. Now, the chicken wings,
Bomb.
incredible. The ribs, not so much.
Awful.
Not so much. The steak that they
Bomb.
shave at the table for you, incredible. It was not worth it was almost $80 a head, I think.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was like $250 before we
Yeah.
were
It was not worth that.
Yeah.
At all. Not even close.
Yeah.
But having said that, Fogo de Chao, the total ticket price was the tip, essentially, that we left at Mastro's. I mean, that's how much better Mastro's is.
Oh,
Now,
man.
having said that, I should have listened to my wife because there is a Lowry's the prime rib and a Morton's. I'm not a huge Morton's guy.
Lowry's, though.
Now, Lowry's a different story.
But you wanted to go to Fogo de Chao.
Well, I couldn't get a table at Lowry's.
Okay.
So we wound up at Fogo de Chao.
Got it. Okay.
I'm out. I don't need to go back to Fogo now.
No.
So I agree. All steaks should be medium or it's not a steak anymore. I totally agree with that.
Totally agree.
Please do not eat them rare, and please do not eat them, like well done. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Sides, question mark. Mashed potatoes, lobster mac and cheese. And my wife, again, you'll have to excuse her. She's not well, clearly, because she ordered asparagus as her side. Come on.
Bro.
Oh, shit. Damn, I am tripping.
I don't know what
tripping
you were
over
thinking.
asparagus at a steakhouse,
Asparagus? Come on, man.
Come on.
Stinky pea? No. By the way, we had the strip medium, 3 prawns that were incredible. Even you know what? So I'm a huge fan of bottled water in a glass bottle. I think it's amazing.
Not sparkling.
Yes, still what? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coleman. I would like another bottle of still water. It was amazing in the glass bottle. Now, having said that, let's rip Katie for a while.
Slurping.
If you're watching this video, please give us a thumbs up right now. Go ahead, dude. Just click the thumbs up. It helps the channel
Just
grow.
get it in now before all the slurping stuff comes, full force.
Yeah, because
here.
Jake is loosening up his trachea as we speak.
Yeah,
Give us a thumbs up for a like. Give us a subscribe if you haven't. We are really working to get to 500. When we get to 500 subscribers, we are going to give away, well, again, I am going to give away an Xbox S Series on this show. When we get to 500, all you're going to have to do is hashtag us, The Monty Show, hashtag The Monty Show on Instagram or Twitter, and say, hey, I subscribed, hashtag The Monty Show. We're going to put your name into a hat, and when we get to that 500, the next show after the 500, we're going to draw a name out of the hat, and we're going to announce the winner. And we are literally just going to mail you an Xbox S Series. No strings attached, no questions asked. It's yours just because you're a subscriber to the show. And we passed 500 subscribers. So hopefully that's coming up within 2 weeks. We will let you know about that. But let's talk about Kevin Durant after you hit like. Thank you for that. Okay, Kevin Durant's not normal. He's not average. He's not. Kevin Durant, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you want to play 21 with somebody or shoot around, okay, Kevin Durant. You want to go to Fogo de Chao and eat crappy overpriced meat? I'm not going with Kevin Durant. Like, he's not a guy that I want to hang out with. Okay, now, I know you guys have your intimate slurping sessions.
Yes.
I'm not so into that. Okay, I'm not. I don't want to hang out. I don't, to me, I'd want to hang out with LeBron. I'd want to, who's the one player in the NBA you'd want to hang out with?
Steph.
You'd want to hang out with Steph.
Yeah.
I'd probably want to hang out with Book because he's always got a trail of hot hose. But maybe
Kendall Jenner.
I'm saying stuff. But I think Steph's definitely on that list. Kevin Durant's not on that list.
No, the thing with KD, and this, my opinion, much like your opinion changed on Rudy Gobert, my opinion has been evolving and changing on Kevin Durant after what's gone on this year. So where the line for me with any NBA player is, okay, you're this guy on the floor, right? You're one of the greatest scorers of all time. Everything's cool, great. things, in my opinion, started going downhill for Kevin Durant at the end of his time in Golden State when he started getting all those technicals and the ejections and all that.
But wait, did he change aftershave or something?
Not yet. No. That was when he went east, and anything. Anyway, point is that that's when it started going downhill. Then we've got the Rappaport situation. Then we've got the Russ situation. And there's just all this stuff. He spends way too much time on Twitter, like getting in his own head.
He spends way too much time on Twitter getting his feelings hurt.
Yeah, and
that's what happens.
It just is this whole thing where
joking.
Yeah, like I can't. It's just this whole deal, bro. I love watching the guy play basketball, but I don't want to be his best friend.
Gabe says we'll trade Xbox for Jordans. Mm-hmm. Forgotten Soul.
We were going to do Jordans. I'd just like to point that out. That was one of our ideas. So if that's what you guys want, we can do that for you. But
yeah. All right, yeah, cool.
But you let us know in the comments.
You can have my Jordans, or you probably want something to fit you because I wear a size 15. He wears a size 8, so you're out of luck.
Okay.
Forgotten Soul says intimate slurping session. LOL. Exactly. All right, let's hear from Kevin Durant because Kevin, look,
the Kevster,
the Slim Reaper, KD Trey was on a podcast, and forgive me, I don't remember the name of it, but was on a podcast recently and was asked the top 5 teammates he's ever had.
Kyrie, James,
cool.
James Harden,
Steph.
Who else would it be?
Clay.
Ooh.
And I'm gonna go Serge Ibaka.
What?
Damn.
Damn. I thought somebody else was going to
Me
be
too.
LA, but that's
so
another story.
I'm just. All right. So
I forgot somebody.
Yeah, to me, I thought you was going to say. I ain't even going.
Who?
South Central LA, Russell.
Oh shit! Damn, I am tripping. Russ, I'm tripping.
Yeah, I'm just making sure. You know what I mean? Because this game like mine.
I did forget about Russ. Russ would definitely be top 5.
okay.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Bro.
What are you talking about? What do you
Serge Ibaka?
You're going Serge Ibaka over Russell Westbrook.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What are you what? Like this is the thing. You can't, with all due respect, Kev, you can't tell me you forgot.
Oh shit! Damn, I am tripping.
You forgot Russell Westbrook. You don't forget Russell Westbrook. You may try. You may want to forget the time that you guys spent together. You don't forget that you don't. And with all due respect to Serge Ibaka, he's had a great career missing threes. He's not Russell Westbrook. Stop it.
Oh my God, dude.
Stop it. And by the way, with all due respect to Klay Thompson, come on.
What?
Klay Thompson?
Do you? I don't have an issue with Klay Thompson. You have an issue with that?
With all due respect to Kyrie Irving,
The 5 best players that
Kyrie
he's
Irving
played
is
with?
not the best player he's ever played with.
The top 5 players he's ever played with.
James Harden is the best player he's ever played
Okay,
with.
right. We can have the conversation about the order, but
But
I
that's the
definitely
order
do
he's
think,
put them in. Was Kyrie Irving and then, James.
I don't think they were asking him for order. I think they were just asking him, hey, who are the best 5 players you ever played with?
Okay.
But I agree with you. Like, there was, Eric was telling me that I was crazy for saying that James Harden right now is a better all-around player than Steph Curry is. Like, Steph's the best shooter the game's ever seen. He's the best shooter in the league right now. But, that's a whole debate, But I think the thing here, and this is something that Katie's never going to live down, even before doing this podcast interview or whatever, he's never going to get away from the fact that he ran away from OKC, He's never going to get away from that fact. So it is what it is, man.
So did James Harden. Mm-hmm. So did Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was the timing of it. He could have stayed. They could have tried again, and that's what people hold over his head.
But tried again for what? Like Kevin Durant. Oh my God, I'm so tired of this. I cannot tell you how I am worn the F out on, Kevin Durant, super team. You'd have done the same thing. If Golden State called you're the best player in the world at the time. Golden State calls you and like, hey man, we'd love to have you on our team. Nah.
If it's me you want to talk to, perhaps we can arrange a meet.
Yeah, I'm going to stay with Russell Westbrook, the most hated man in comedy. I'm going to stay, are you kidding me? Nobody wants to play with Russell Westbrook.
Unless you're Bradley Beal. Oh, I'm sorry, Brad Beal.
Brad Beal.
Sorry, Brad.
My bad,
Brad.
Brad.
Yeah, my bad.
But you put Serge Ibaka on. Like, come on,
Serge Ibaka.
come on. Like, your guy is just.
He's crazy, dude.
Bro.
He's soft mentally. It's not. That's just how it is with him.
Oh, by the way, they're going to miss like 9 guys tomorrow night. Kevin Durant's out. In case you missed it, he's got like, oh, my quad hurts. Like, so he's out. James Harden's out. Your mom's out. Like, everybody for the Nets is out. Like, who are you going to play? Bojan. Like, who are you going to play? I'm serious. Like, I want the Nets to be good because when the Nets are 100% and they're healthy, that is one hell of an entertaining basketball team.
Nets Philly should have been an amazing game, but what did we get?
Nothing.
Nothing.
We got nothing.
Yeah.
And anyway. Miguel Boy says 5 people are injured for tomorrow's game.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Nets, Miguel? Sean says Serge. Seriously? Exactly.
Yeah.
Really?
That's exactly.
Really?
It's dumb, dude. It's dumb.
Really?
And the thing is you can go and find it on Twitter. I'm assuming you probably tweeted or whatever. But the funny thing is when you watch the video side of that audio we just played, you can see him looking around and pondering and trying to find another name besides Russell Westbrook.
How do I say somebody other than Russell Westbrook is the look on his face?
It's so obvious. It's so obvious
on.
that's what you were doing. And I wish that he would just say, hey, like I've moved on from Russ and that is what it is. But
Hysterical. Forgotten Soul says, don't start that Bojan shit again. Well, you know what? Yeah. We get it.
Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah, no, but don't, because so many people were pissed off. It's Bojan Bogdanovic. We get it, bro. So many people were upset about. Anyway.
All right, we're going to move on here.
I'm not doing it. I'm telling you, so many people. I got so much hate on that, and yeah.
okay.
Anyway, I haven't seen an update on who the Jazz are playing, by the way. Miguel says, I'm talking about the Jazz game tomorrow.
Oh, I don't think they're sitting all 5 guys.
Today, well, they play the Lakers today. But are you tonight? Are you I don't know. You can't tell me they're gonna sit Conley and Gobert again.
No.
Unless
Rudy
I missed
definitely
something.
Need
I
another
didn't.
night.
In all seriousness, if the Jazz have said they're sitting those guys, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I have not seen it. So, Forgotten Soul says so many people freak out. They do freak out. Absolutely. Sean says the Nets are a team who are taking advantage of the NBA not having a rule against resting players. Only they do have a rule against resting players. And my question, if you're just tuning in, if you're just getting into the show, how did the Jazz avoid getting a fine?
I love that got brought up because there definitely is a rule, and it's definitely clear cut.
And the rule is you cannot sit multiple players that are healthy for rest on the road. If you are going to sit multiple players for rest, it has to be a home game. Mm-hmm. And they essentially are saying, we don't want you resting multiple players that are healthy.
Yep.
Stagger them, which the Nets have done a very good job of, by the way.
Yeah.
But the Jazz, for unknown reason, because we know they're load managing Mike Conley.
Of course, yeah.
Gobert's not injured, and Derrick Favors is just old.
I don't disagree with giving Gobert a night. Like,
Neither do I.
I don't disagree with it, but I don't think that, like the resting different players, they all have different needs. So like Gobert just needed one night off. I honestly I don't see him getting another night the rest of the season. There's just no reason to.
Wow. Are they really? Okay, I'm going to look this up, and he may have. Let me just see how wrong if I got this. Thank you. 13 hours ago, Donovan Mitchell is out tomorrow night. Rudy Gobert is probable. Mike Conley is probable. Ersan Ilyasova is questionable with left hamstring tightness. Derrick Favors is questionable right knee soreness.
So there's a lot of soreness and tightness and
my groin.
Yeah,
and
come on,
dude.
come on, they're gonna play.
I can't. Well, I hope you're wrong. Who said that? Miguel? I hope you're wrong.
Yeah. I don't think you can afford to lose another.
I don't think you can either. Akili Jean-Pierre says, I feel like they're tanking teams because only the bad teams have been getting fined. Well, I mean, there's
The bad team. Only the
well,
bad
the Spurs
teams.
are a mid-table team.
Yeah,
I
they're-
mean,
yeah,
Toronto is it's not a great basketball team right now. Although, how about the game-winning jump
Trent
shot?
Jr..
No, the game-winning jump shot. My guy,
Oh,
43.
Bam.
Bam out of or 13. Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
That guy's coming. Coming. And Toronto with Gary Trent Jr.
Yeah, he's lighting it up.
They're
He
gonna be-
definitely took it personally.
They're going to be much better next year.
Yeah.
I think Toronto will be. Drummond, the Jazz killer, is out.
Yeah.
Bam is insane. The Bam Adebayo pull-up jumper to win the
It was
game
beautiful.
was
Beautiful.
incredible.
Perfectly executed.
It just incredible. So
Yeah.
I think right now this resting thing is a problem. I mean, it is absolutely a problem, and I think it'll be interesting to see how the NBA deals with it, because I don't know that I really don't know that there's a lockstep for how you fix this problem.
Well,
I really don't.
I think on the other side of that, though, too, the players and everybody on that side of this conversation is going to say, hey, we had a really short off season, and we have a condensed schedule. It is less games, but it is a condensed schedule. So I think that's what they're using as a defense. And I'm just telling you, unless you are a bubble team, a team that, played all those games that they played in the bubble and was playing really late into the year, there's really no excuse for you, because you don't have all those extra miles
Right.
on you, know?
Right.
So
Yep.
I don't know, man. I think that's why, like, that comment that said all the worst teams are getting the fines. Yeah, well, to me it makes sense, because they're the worst teams. They didn't play all those extra
Yep.
games.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me.
Absolutely. Forgotten Soul says you could say Bam was slurping.
Yeah. See, I'm telling you, the slurping thing is catching fire now.
Miguel says, I can see Bam being one of the top players in the next few years, for sure. Is Drummond out? No, Drummond's not out, Brandon. I'm pretty sure
That's what
they're
I
all
saw.
probable. But I know, like, Marc Gasol, Schroeder I think Schroeder's still battling that foot injury.
But he said that he could play through that, so I think he probably is going to play.
Markieff Morris twisted his ankle. I think those guys are all probable. Anthony Davis is for sure out tonight against the Jazz. So, but Brandon makes a good point. Andre Drummond had his way with the Jazz, but he's not going to do that with Rudy in the game, certainly. And
We'll
I think
see.
Rudy's going to have a more difficult role with Drummond in the game. So Drummond's a pretty key figure there. I don't know. Real quick, Defensive Player of the Year. Ben Simmons is making a real case for Defensive Player of the Year. Now, you and I disagree on this, but I think Ben Simmons should be right there at the top for Defensive Player of the Year.
Right.
But you can't give up 37 to Kyrie Irving and then chirp about being Defensive Player of the Year. And he said, well, he was negative plus minus. And okay, well, that might be true, but that has nothing to do with his offense, because Kyrie put up 37 on Ben Simmons. Now, to Ben's point about being Defensive Player of the Year, he guards all 5 positions, and usually he guards the best player on the other team.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen him, certainly against the Jazz, the things that we've seen Ben Simmons do. Obviously, he's had good success against Donovan in stretches, and he has no problem attacking Rudy Gobert offensively. The problem is, obviously, Ben's very limited offensively. But the bigger issue for me is, don't chirp about being Defensive Player of the Year the night you give up 37.
Yeah, but I think it also needs to be said that it's not like he guarded Kyrie Irving for all 37 points. I mean, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I think we can all say that,
Sure.
I don't know how many of the points that Kyrie scored were against Ben Simmons, but what I can say is that the reason that I would highly consider Ben Simmons right next to Rudy Gobert is because of Ben Simmons' versatility. And I think that Ben Simmons makes a lot of plays and finds himself in a lot of areas on the floor that Rudy Gobert is never going to see because of his size and the way he's built. And it's not a knock on Rudy Gobert. It is just the reality of the situation. I'm not sitting here saying that Ben is like somehow this way better defensive player than Rudy or vice versa. But what I am saying is that when you're talking about, hey, what goes into being the best defensive player in the NBA? Well, I think how many positions can you guard? Ben can guard all 5.
Right.
What can you do to force the offense to play in a different way? Well, I can switch everything. I can play in the paint. I can play in the perimeter. I'm more than happy to play one-on-one defense. So he can do all these extra little things that I think Rudy can't do. Rudy is a space eater, whereas Ben can play one-on-one individual defense against anybody. And I think that is a big conversation that defines those two.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I find so interesting is Rudy Gobert's limitation is late game switching, because we've seen this time and time again where all teams do is switch Rudy onto a guard, because the culture in the NBA now is switch everything, which I hate.
Yeah.
And I do give kind of the nod, especially in late game situations. And honestly, we saw this with Drummond the other night with the Lakers, or the other day. Frank Vogel took him out of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And then brought him back for overtime, which I thought was a really smart move by Vogel, because he is limited in certain pick and roll situations.
Yep.
So I think you have to use the best of what you have. The problem for Rudy Gobert is it's not difficult to switch him out of the post, because all you have to do is run pick and roll into a Patrick Beverly or into Alonzo Ball that we saw against New Orleans.
Yep.
Charlotte this is not rocket science.
Mm-hmm.
And Rudy talked the other day about how Joel Embiid is one of the most difficult players he's ever guarded. And that, to me, is where you get into this Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Everybody's going to get got.
Yeah.
You know that. Kyrie Irving is going to score 37 on 5 guys if you put them all on him at once.
Yeah.
I just think that Ben's got a point in that. He's more flexible and he can do more things.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. So right now, if you had to ask me today, I probably am still on Rudy Gobert for Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
But another 3 weeks, the schedule for the Sixers is much more difficult than it is for the Jazz.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. All right, make sure you give us a thumbs up. If you're watching this video right now, please do give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. Again, for everybody just dipping in and out, because I know that we have a lot of people that come and go. When we get to 500, we are going to give away, and I guess now you're saying you're going to give away a pair of your Jordans.
No, that's not what I said. Why you do that to me? That is not what I said.
What?
I said that if people wanted Jordans over the Xbox, they need to let us know that in the comments. But I'm not just out here handing out, shoes out my collection. You know what I'm saying?
Neither am I. That's why I'm giving away an Xbox, because I've already okay, well, I ain't got no money in the bank from you. Anyway, we already have an Xbox Series S that we bought just to give away on this show to our one of our subscribers. When we get to 500, what we're going to do is we're going to autograph one of our thongs and wrap it around the handle of the Xbox. That way you get the full slurping experience from this show. Okay, now I've gone too far.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point is no thong. The point is we're going to give away an Xbox when we get to 500. All you have to do is subscribe and then tweet at us. And as we get into the 400s, we're really going to start pushing this. But it's going to be social media. Just tag us, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, on Twitter or Instagram. And then we're going to put all those names into a hat, and then we're going to pick one of those out. So just follow us on Twitter and Instagram, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. I want Stockton kicks, JC says. Stockton's kicks.
Okay,
you should seek fashion advice. Sean says, yeah, but the Nets can't use the excuse if there's no time off because they lost in the first round. Probably true.
Yeah.
Miguel says slurping thongs with the crying emoji. Yeah, those Nikes.
Dude.
Forgotten Soul says, quote unquote, the slurping experience. Look, we try on this show to give you what you ask us for. So give us a thumbs up, give us a like on the show, and then please, if you're here and you're not subscribed, give us a subscribe. The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much. Again, our podcast just does numbers. Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio all do big business for us. Apple iTunes, Google Play. We really appreciate you guys finding The Monty Show. Monty, The Monty Show. All right, let's end the show talking about The Bachelor. Because Colton Underwood, The Bachelor from 2019, I think his season was.
Sure.
The late last week went on Good Morning America and made what can only be described as a shocking announcement. And Bachelor Nation absolutely lost their minds.
Obviously, like, this year's been a lot for a lot of people, and it's probably made a lot of people look themselves in the mirror and figure out who they are and what they've been running from or what they've been putting off in their lives.
Okay.
And for me,
Okay.
I've ran from myself for a long time. I've hated myself for a long time, and I'm gay, and I came to terms with that earlier this year and have been processing it. And the next step in all of this was sort of letting people know.
Okay, so I don't have a problem with Colton Underwood being gay. Mm-hmm. And Colton Underwood coming out and announcing this on Good Morning America, hey, more power to you, bro. Mm-hmm. The problem is Colton's kind of talking out of both sides of his mouth. So Colton says, well, I just figured this out or came to grips with it this year. And then later in the interview, and listen to this clip carefully, later in the interview, he says he knew when he was 6.
I literally remember praying to God the morning I found out that I was a bachelor and thanking him for making me straight. I remember that vividly of
You
saying,
can't
like,
pray the gay away,
finally
sir.
you're letting me be straight. Finally you're giving me a wife, a fiance, and then I'm going to have the kids, and then I'm going to have the house, and then I'm going to have all this. I've known that I've been different since the age of 6. And I couldn't process it, and I couldn't put my finger on what it was until high school, my freshman year, when I knew I was gay. And by that time, I had already grown up in the Catholic Church. I have gone to Catholic grade school. I had learned in the Bible that gay is a sin. I had made mistakes in my sports and in my athletic career, and when you make mistakes, that play was gay, or that was a bad. Gay was always affiliated with a connotation of negativity, and I think there's a lot of things when I look back, I'm like,
listen.
no wonder I held it in.
Listen. First of all, you knew when you were 6. This wasn't something that Colton Underwood came to terms with this during the pandemic, which is what he was trying to spin. And this idea that you can pray, quote unquote, pray the gay away needs to stop, because this is that religion thing we always talk about. And this is why I'm against organized religion. I'm a man of faith. I do not support organized religion. Mm-hmm. This guy is trying to say, well, I grew up Catholic and, being gay was always wrong, but I knew when I was 6. So wait a minute. Let me understand this. You played major college football, mm-hmm. and you're trying to say that you prayed the gay away and that you thanked God when you became the Bachelor because now you could be straight, or that you had defeated being gay. Mm-hmm. This does not add up. Mm-hmm. This does not add up. What do you say to his college teammates? What do you say to his friends? What do you say to the bachelorettes that were on that he was courting, especially this Cassie Randolph, who filed a restraining order against this bro because he put a tracking device on her car? Mm-hmm. That's not praying the gay away. That's not saying, hey, I'm struggling with my sexuality. That's you being kind of a crazy dude, mm-hmm. right? And then listen to this last clip, because this is amazing to me. That you knew when you were 6 that you were gay, yet you still took the role as the Bachelor.
I thought a lot about this too, of do I regret being the Bachelor, and do I regret handling it the way that I did? I do. I do think I could have handled it better. I'll say that.
How so?
Oh my God.
I just wish I wouldn't have dragged people into my own mess of figuring out who I was. I genuinely mean that. But I also, at the same time, like, that I can sit here and say I'm sorry to all of those women. I can also say thank you, because without them and without the Bachelor franchise, I don't know if this would have ever came out.
Okay, so wait. You knew when you were 6. You embraced it when you were 13. Yet you went on and played major college football, which I'm not saying is wrong. If you're gay and you're a football player, I don't have a problem with that. But you need to tell people. You need to be comfortable with that, right? And the thing that I really struggle with is this guy knew he was gay when he took the role as the Bachelor. He did it for the money. He did it for the fame. And so tell me this right now. In a moment that many young people in this country struggle with coming out, admitting that they're gay to their families, admitting they're gay to their circle of friends, you decided to take the Bachelor role anyway. You stood on a platform of virginity. Like, you understand this. Like, Colton Underwood talked about how he was a virgin because he hadn't found the right one.
The Virgin Bachelor was a huge thing when he was on the show.
And it's all a fraud.
Yeah. It was a
And
big
let's
deal.
just be honest. You only went on The Bachelor for the fame, right? You didn't care about these girls, which is why I don't understand why you stalked this Cassie Randolph, who, by the way, quit the show. She was one of the final 3. She walked off the show. He went to her apartment. He went to her parents' home in Huntington Beach. He put a tracking device on her car, according to the affidavit and the narrative for the restraining order, which was granted.
Yep.
What does this have to do with you being gay?
Yeah, well, and I think the thing that supports your point here, even moving forward, is number one, you felt the need to do a Good Morning America interview to announce this. It wasn't good enough for you to just tell your circle of people, your family and your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't good enough just to tell those people. And then to compound that, Netflix is doing a whole series on you. So I have to say that I do agree that he did it for the money and the fame.
He
because
did it.
All that he's showing me with his actions is that's what this is all about. You went on The Bachelor to make money and to be on a TV show, and you thought that was awesome. And then hey, it didn't work out. Whatever. A couple years passed.
Right.
Now I got to do a Good Morning America interview. Now I got to do Netflix, and it's like just this whole thing. And so this really has almost nothing to do with the fact that, he's gay. It has almost nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, like, the way he's handling it, why he's doing this. Because I don't buy for a second that, like, you had to go on Good Morning America to tell all these people.
I think what this does is it makes it more difficult for the 13-year-old who actually wants to come out and be honest about it and is struggling with it. The suicide rates among closeted gays is incredible.
Yeah.
And
he talked about that in this interview. We don't have it here, but he did talk about it.
The strife and the struggle amongst people who are honestly and truly battling this is incredible. And I think Colton Underwood does an incredible disservice to that community. And I agree with Sean, not saying he's lying, but why would he be so obsessed with her if he was gay?
Yeah.
Why are you stalking this girl to the point where she has to get a restraining order against you?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's why I say, like,
Do you believe he's really gay?
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's this whole situation where what he's done is he's portrayed himself as a very weird guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
Like you went on The Bachelor as a straight man, and everything, and everything is cool, but then you felt the need to come out and now say that you were gay. And so my question just is, and I think this is kind of what you're alluding to, what was the motivation for that? Why did we need to do a Good Morning America interview? That's what I don't get.
Because it builds his brand.
I guess.
I think that's what it is. But if you are, honest to goodness, think about if you were on his football team, if you were teammates with him, how betrayed do you feel?
Yeah.
I would think you would feel, and if he's telling the truth and he is gay, I mean, you don't necessarily owe an apology just to The Bachelor and the brand and the women on that show. I think you owe an apology to a lot of different people because he is clearly not a normal guy. He is clearly, and when I say normal, it has nothing to do with him being gay or straight. That doesn't make you normal or abnormal. What makes you abnormal is when you stalk people and when you're not honest and when you've lied to a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
The whole thing strikes me as I need to brand myself.
And it doesn't help that he said on one hand, well, I just came to grips with this, but then on the other hand said he knew, like, that he was because what he said was I knew I was different at 6. So I didn't quite know what it was, but then I really I knew at 13.
I knew I was gay at 13.
Yeah, and
it doesn't take a pandemic for you to come to
that was
terms
one of
with
his
this.
major other points. Yeah,
I
that's
spent
why
a
this
lot of
happened.
time alone during the pandemic, and come on. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's just the whole thing. This is why I say shows like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette it's garbage.
Yeah.
And so many people obsess over it.
Yeah.
So many people obsess over it.
'Cause it's a dream.
And I get like Survivor, and I get like the contestant shows. At least I understand. Like, I don't understand Naked and Afraid. I don't want fire ants on my branch. I really don't. So I don't understand that show. But like all these other like contestant shows, I kind of get that.
We're not slurping on Naked and Afraid.
No, man, sorry, dude. Like you're living in some like crazy place and you are naked. With like insects in your.
Here's what's gonna happen, Tonto.
Yeah, look, I mean, you're in. No, man. Like, what would you go on a reality TV show? I mean, frankly, you need to be The Bachelor because you got 0 game.
Thanks.
You're going to be
Appreciate
single
that.
the rest of your life.
It's because I slurp, obviously.
Okay, wow. I'm not going to go there. Anyway, the point is, but like, would you go on a date? Would you go be The Bachelor?
Probably not, dude. Honestly, like I've only watched like 2 episodes of that in my entire life, and I didn't make it past like 10 minutes. You know, watching it. It's just it's hard for me to watch it. Honestly, like it's so set up. It's so cheesy. It's so like I get that people love that, but that's just not.
Do we
my
watch
thing.
reality TV? What reality TV do we watch? I mean, I can't. I don't
Ink
think.
Master.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Ink Master. Deadliest Catch isn't really reality TV, is it?
It's reality TV. It's not a contestant show, though.
Yeah, Deadliest Catch, by the way, premieres.
Gold Rush is a
week.
reality TV show.
Yeah, I guess Gold Rush. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess we do watch them.
But I think there's a difference. Like Deadliest Catch and Gold Rush are more like, they're not documentaries, obviously, but they're more just like documenting what these dudes go through in their grind.
What a big paycheck. Miguel wants to know, would you be in The Bachelor for a big paycheck? Those guys make bank.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, but here's the thing. I don't want to make my big paycheck off a gimmick, and that's what this is. This is a gimmick. Ooh. This is you went on TV because here's the truth of it.
Does it lessen your relationship?
What do you mean?
Does it cheapen
Yes, it cheapens your relationship. Yes.
Do you have to because you have to explain that to your kids and your family and stuff.
Explain what?
That you met
on a game show?
Yeah,
or like a reality TV show.
Hey, Mom, where'd you guys meet? Did you fall in love at
but
the
here's
grocery
the thing.
store?
This is we can't just skip
in the
over
produce
this.
market?
Bro, we can't just skip over this. If you met your wife on The Bachelor, both families are totally,
it's awkward.
Wrapped up. No, I don't think it's awkward at all. I think both families are about it. I think they're in it. They're like, yes, we're on TV. This is awesome. Like, because the parents are on the show. The parents are on the show. Like when he goes and meets the parents, they're on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with Sean. He says it's the fakest show there is.
It is. It's a joke.
Yeah,
it's a scheme.
Ty says you guys need to watch less TV. Get out of your house.
Well, we don't watch Jazz games, so I mean,
that's I'm out of the house. That's why we never.
we don't watch.
And
Jazz
Ty,
games.
by the way, Tyler is one of the guys who's like, do you guys ever even watch the games? No, I'm busy watching The Bachelor, bro. Well, I can't watch both. Anyway, there you have it. Play the music,
oh my
Jake.
God,
please give us a thumbs up. Please give us a subscribe. I appreciate you. Forgotten Soul says, always a good laugh on this show. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thanks so much for watching the show. Tomorrow on the show, we'll have full reaction from Jazz Lakers. We'll see who plays in the Until then, give us a thumbs up. Give us a subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter on The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show. Jake is SLC Supercars. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.